I swear I didn't see it coming. Not even a whisper of warning. One minute I was sitting in my corner office on the 32nd floor, sipping a lukewarm soy latte, and reviewing a client's deposition. The next I was being escorted out of the building with a cardboard box filled with my personal belongings and a pink slip with my name printed in bold. "You're no longer needed, Miss Carver." That's what Roger said. Roger Langston, my mentor, my boss, the man I'd worked under for 9 relentless years at Kessler and Hayes. The same man who once told me I was the future of litigation. Turns out the future was apparently Mel 35, and named Travis, a smug Harvard grad with a fake smile and a last name I can't remember, because I was too busy imagining punching it. At first I thought it was some kind of mistake, some HR mix-up, but when I saw the look on Roger's face, cold rehearsed, final, I knew it. WASN, single quotes, T. No severance. No warning. No thank you for your years of service. Just a quiet little email in my inbox and a keycard that no longer worked. I didn't cry. Not then. I walked out of that building with my head high, holding onto that box like it was armor. But the second I got home, I collapsed. Right there in my kitchen. I sat on the floor for hours, and somewhere between the 5th and 6th glass of cheap red wine, it hit me. They didn't just fire me, they erased me. Every case I won, every hour I billed, every damn sacrifice I made, gone like I was nothing. But I wasn't nothing. Not anymore. Roger made one mistake. He underestimated me. Asterisk. The next morning I woke up on the couch with my suit still on, and a half-eaten protein bar stuck to my cheek. There was a voicemail from my sister, checking in. I didn't answer. Then one from my old paralegal, Beth. Sounded awkward, like she didn't know if calling me was a betrayal or an act of compassion. I didn't answer her either. What was I supposed to say? "Hey Beth, yeah, everything's great. Just got betrayed by the man I practically worshipped for a decade. Want to grab lunch?" I stayed inside for 3 days, didn't shower, barely, ate, just stared at the walls and replayed every meeting, every compliment Roger ever gave me, trying to figure out when it all changed. When I became disposable, it wasn't until I found the folder that everything clicked. I was clearing out my email because part of me thought maybe if I did less, I'd feel less, wrecked. And there it was. A forwarded chain from 3 weeks ago. Accidentally CC'd to my personal account. Subject line, Carver, clean exit. It was between Roger and Travis, the Harvard boy. They were planning it for weeks, words like position redundancy and optics and firm culture realignment. Translation. Let's get rid of the older woman before she asks for partnership again. That's when the sadness burned away. That's when I started planning. It began with a spreadsheet. Yeah, I know. Not very cinematic. But spreadsheets were my love language. I built one for everything. Groceries, vacations, even breakups. This one was called Reckoning. One tab for each person who screwed me over. Roger, Travis, HR Director Melanie, who smiled at me while sliding a non-disclosure across the desk. One column for assets, one for vulnerabilities, one for personal history. Every secret they ever shared with me over drinks or in the office when they thought I was just the friendly ear. I didn't need guns or hackers. I had information and I had time. People like Roger think women like me just go away, that we get fired and fade into obscurity. What they forget is, women like me don't disappear. We rebuild. Slower, quieter, meaner. It took 3 months to land my first contract, a small firm in Queens. Nothing glamorous. Just enough to get back in the game, build credibility again, regain control. But while I was filing motions by day, I was gathering intel by night. Credit reports, emails, political donations, anything that could be leveraged. And then I found the crack. A real estate deal. Buried under 3 LLCs and a fake name. Roger had reinvested client funds in a private condo project. A big no-no. And he'd used my name to sign one of the authorizations. That was the moment I knew. This wasn't just revenge anymore. This was justice. Asterisk. People think revenge is loud. They imagine screaming matches, shattered glasses, some grand public meltdown. But real revenge, the kind that sticks, it's quiet, it's patient, it's surgical. I didn't confront Roger. Not yet. I smiled. I kept my head down. I played the part of the humiliated ex-employee trying to move on. but I never stopped digging. I pulled every filing I'd ever submitted at Kessler and Hayes. I still had digital copies on my external drive B, 'cause I'm that kind of person. The one who never really trusts the system to save what matters. It took a week, but I found it, the forged authorization. Roger had altered the timestamp metadata. Sloppily, amateurs always forget about metadata, and that meant two things. He'd laundered money. He tried to pin it on me. It was the perfect motive. The disgruntled woman trope. The fall guy. Or girl, in this case. But here's the thing. I wasn't playing defense anymore. I started showing up at bar association mixers. Letting it slip. That I was considering a tell-all article. I never actually said anything. Just smiled when people asked questions like, "Wait, weren't you the one who?" "Didn't Roger?" I heard something about real estate. Whispers travel faster than facts. Within a month, the firm's board was jittery. I knew because Melanie, the same HR witch who handed me that NDA, sent me a message on LinkedIn. "Hope you're doing well. Let's catch up sometime." Translation: "You're scaring us." I waited exactly 3 days before responding. "Happy to chat, but I'd prefer my lawyer be present. You understand? Let them chew on that meanwhile." I reached out to someone I hadn't spoken to in years. Jason. We dated for like 5 minutes in law school before realizing we were way better as allies than lovers. He was now working in the state ethics office, with a soft spot for justice and a not-so-secret grudge against Roger. Apparently, Roger once called him small potatoes. That was enough. I gave Jason everything, the emails, the files, the metadata trail. I even highlighted where Roger had used me as a false signatory. His exact words when he saw the package were, "Damn Eleanor, you built a case and I had was no longer the woman crying in her kitchen. I was a prosecutor again. Only this time, the trial was personal. But here's where it gets tricky. Revenge has a taste. And once you've had a bite, it's hard not to gorge yourself." I found myself thinking less about justice and more about watching Roger lose everything. His job, his reputation, his carefully manicured legacy. That terrified me. Not because he didn't deserve it, but because I wasn't sure when I'd crossed that line. Was I getting even, or becoming just like him? Still, I pressed forward. Jason filed an anonymous tip. An ethics investigation was opened discreetly. Roger didn't know it yet, but the walls were starting to close in. Then something happened I didn't expect. I got a package. No return address. Inside was a handwritten note and a flash drive. The note read, "You don't know everything. Be careful who you burn." The drive contained surveillance footage, grainy, time-stamped, from the firm's private elevator. Showed me entering Roger's office. Alone. On the night the document was forged. Only I never went in that night. I was at home, sick with the flu. I even had a DoorDash receipt to prove it. That footage, it was fake. Someone was trying to turn the tables. Someone knew what I was doing, and they were willing to play dirty to stop me. Asterisk. At first, I thought the flash drive was some kind of prank. But after watching that footage 10 times, slowing it down, zooming in, adjusting contrast, I knew exactly what it was. A warning, a setup, a message. "We're watching you, and we can erase you again, this time for good." Whoever sent it wanted me to know they had resources. Access, motive. Roger. Maybe. But something about it felt sloppier. Roger's evil was polished. Corporate. This was messy. Fear-driven. There was someone else in this. I called Jason that night, told him everything. His first question, "Anyone else know you're investigating this?" I hesitated, because the truth was, I'd been careful. Ruthless even. I hadn't told a soul. Except Beth, my old paralegal. Loyal, sweet, overworked, and underpaid. But also ambitious. I remembered how weird she sounded on that voicemail. The hesitation, the guilt, could she have known? I pushed the thought away, but once doubt creeps in, it doesn't leave. The next morning I drove to my storage unit. Most people keep old furniture in theirs. I kept files, boxes of old trial notes, memos, client history, anything the firm didn't officially need. I'm a hoarder of secrets. I pulled a box labeled Langston Discretionary, and flipped through a folder I'd almost forgotten about. Internal Affairs, Kessler and Hayes. 2018. I wasn't involved in the case, just consulted, but it stuck with me because of one name, Amanda Teller. A junior associate fired after accusing Roger of harassment. Official reason: performance issues. Unofficially, she had dirt on Roger. Dirt that mysteriously disappeared. I found her on Facebook. New last name, married, living in Phoenix. I messaged her. Said I was investigating a potential fraud case involving Roger Langston. She replied in under 2 hours. I've been waiting for this day. We Zoomed that night. Amanda looked different, like someone who'd finally exhaled after holding her breath for too long. She told me things I hadn't known. Things that chilled me, like how Roger had a habit of grooming female associates, building them up, then cutting them loose, right before they became competition, how he'd use their ambition as a weapon, turn them into cautionary tales, and how Melanie's HR Melanie wasn't just complicit, she was his cleanup crew. Amanda said she kept copies of her complaints, physical ones. She offered to send them to me, but then she paused, looked off screen, whispered, "Just be careful. If they think you're getting too close, they'll come for you like they came for me." I asked her what she meant. She disconnected. I haven't heard from her since that night. I heard a knock at my door, not a friendly knock, not the kind that says Amazon delivery. It was slow, deliberate. I didn't open it. Just peeked through the peephole. No one was there, but taped to the door was a note. Typed, no signature. "You don't belong in this story anymore." I should have backed off. I should have let it go. Walked away, rebuilt my life somewhere warm, somewhere safe. But I didn't, because it was never just about me anymore. This wasn't just my story, it was Amanda's and every other woman. Roger buried on his way up. I'd opened the door to something dark. And now I had no choice but to walk through it. Asterisk, I didn't sleep that night. The note on the door sat on my kitchen table like a loaded gun. I couldn't stop staring at it. You don't belong in this story anymore. Ironic, really. Because I was never supposed to be a side character in Roger's narrative. I helped write that damn story. Page by page, case by case. And now I was about to rewrite the ending. The next morning, I booked a deposition room at a neutral law center in Manhattan. Then I subpoenaed Roger. Yes, you read that right. I filed a pro se complaint personally accusing him of forgery, misappropriation of funds, and professional misconduct. I named myself as the injured party. He couldn't ignore it. He'd have to show up. On record. Jason wasn't thrilled. Said I was playing with fire. I told him, "Fire is all I've got left." Roger arrived with 2 attorneys. Slick, smug, corporate vampires in expensive shoes. He didn't look at me, didn't shake my hand. Just sat down, adjusted his cuffs, and gave that same tired smirk he used when belittling female associates. "Let's keep this short, Eleanor," he said. "You've embarrassed yourself enough." I slid the manila folder across the table. "This is the timeline of your real estate fraud. The metadata proving forgery, and Amanda Teller's harassment complaint from 2018. Signed, dated, certified." His smirk dropped by half an inch. Good. I asked him simple questions. Did he authorize the deal using my name? Did he mislead the firm's partners about client funds? Did he order footage to be faked? He denied everything. Of course he did. But he was sweating. His lawyer kept shifting in his chair. They weren't prepared for this. That's when I said, loud enough for the court reporter to catch every word, "I have backups of all communications. Roger, including texts from Melanie about cleaning up Amanda's mess. Want me to read them into the record?" He went pale. After the deposition, I didn't go home. I checked into a hotel under my grandmother's maiden name. Cheap place, thin walls, but safe. That night I got an email from Amanda. Subject, "You did it." Attached was an audio file. A voicemail Roger left her back in 2019. He was drunk, sloppy. In it, he admitted to everything: the harassment, the smear campaigns, the payouts. He even laughed about using my name for the real estate deal. Amanda had kept it all this time. I sent it to Jason. He forwarded it to the ethics committee. Within 48 hours, an emergency hearing was called. And then, the twist. Melanie called me. "We need to talk," she said. But not on the phone. We met in a public park. She looked different, tired, like someone whose empire was crumbling. "You think Roger was the top," she said. "You think this stops with him?" I blinked. "What are you saying?" She pulled a flash drive from her coat and handed it to me. "Roger's just the middleman. This goes higher. Board members, judges, state contracts. You want revenge, Eleanor. You're about to get an invitation to a whole new war. That was 2 weeks ago. Since then, 3 people on the firm's board have resigned. Roger has been suspended. Amanda's file was reopened. And me. I'm not a victim anymore. I'm not even a lawyer anymore. I'm something else now. The kind of woman who doesn't just burn bridges. She rewrites the map. The final case I took was my own. But it wasn't. The last